About the referendum, briefly, the board's effort is to be transparent about everything. We're not trying to hide anything, really and truly. We want the public to know when it's the right time to know what's going on, what we're trying to do. So let's start with how we started. In the beginning, let's say 23-24 school year, we were concerned about the enrollments. And we were also looking at the actual building needs. So we knew that our buildings, and we know that our buildings need some improvements. We also listened to a lot of the stakeholders in the district.
These are storyboards that were created by the district architects. Again, these are going to be available on the website. The reason that we haven't shown these sooner is because we were hesitant to show a plan that wasn't achievable, but we've hit such a point of contention with the New Jersey DEP and how much of our land is actually usable that we've come to the conclusion that the best course of action is to show you what we want to do and what we had planned to do. And I can tell you that the plan as it's currently going to be shown to you here is not currently achievable with the stipulations that have been put in place for us by the NJDEP. The NJDOE has approved our plans, but the NJDEP has not approved the use of our land in a way that will allow us to accomplish this. So that being said, for Birchwood schools, the intention was to create a secure vestibule for the entrance of the school. We have an expansion of classroom space. You'll see the different green areas. Also, it would make the building more ADA compliant. The ventilation improvement. There's a lot of mechanical and equipment improvements that are baked into this. As we touch spaces, we look at the systematic things that we can update and upgrade. We have our library and cafeteria expansion. We looked to add parking and improve the athletic field. For Dwyer schools, we had, again, addition of a secure vestibule, repurposing of the kindergarten classrooms, which I'll explain how we would repurpose them in a little bit. Again, ventilation improvement, HVAC improvement, and also a window and wall and facade project to improve the entire, one, aesthetic of the building, but also energy efficiency and heating and cooling efficiency. We can go to the next, KDM. Again, addition of a secure vestibule, also restructure some of that office space to move the office to the front of the building, repurpose the kindergarten rooms. Again, I'll tell you how in a moment. Expansion of the cafeteria, which is currently insufficient. Again, we talked about children eating in their classrooms. It's because right now, with some of the cafeteria spaces available at our elementary schools and the schedules that are in place, we can't physically have the children all eating in the cafeteria at the same time. We also have the window replacement, which was intended to be part of the referendum. That funding will likely be repurposed, as I pulled that out as a project in this year, because once we realized that the referendum was not going to roll out in the timeline that we planned, we decided to prioritize that project and pull that out of the long-range plan on its own and complete that in this year. We also looked to add parking and, again, improve the ventilation systems. Next, Stony Brook School would also receive a secure vestibule. Again, repurposing the kindergarten classrooms, and when I say repurposing, that means that instead of having to build new classrooms, we would pull the kindergartens from those rooms. They will be located somewhere else, again, in these plans, and those classrooms would be used for expansion of the enrollment for all other grades in that building. Again, increase ADA compliance and ventilation, HVAC, mechanical, and technological improvements. And then CMS, again, secure vestibule, increase the office space for both the administration and I believe it was special education, addition of classrooms. We had, again, ventilation improvement, window and wall and facade replacement, and addition of an athletic field and an auditorium. At this moment in time, there is no space within this school where all students can be in one place at the same time. So when we have presentations, when we have assemblies, when we have events, there is no way for us to host them in this building with all students attending at the same time, which is really, it's a disadvantage to not only us as the staff, but the students and what they can experience. And then for DBO, we had, again, secure vestibule, repurposing of kindergarten classrooms, expansion of the cafeteria. That is the smallest cafeteria that I have ever seen as an educator. And I'm not exaggerating. When I first came here and they walked me into the cafeteria, I was like, where are we? And they were holding a music class in there because they weren't holding their lunches in there. They're eating in the classrooms. Again, ADA compliance, ventilation improvement, and then the second part of this plan, and I believe it's on the next slide, Mike, is our H-shaped building. Now, this is the one that presented the largest issue for us, and it's a domino effect. If we can't accomplish this portion of the referendum, it impacts every other portion of the referendum. This is the creation of an early childhood learning center, which would house 20 classrooms. That's where the kindergartners are going. That's also how we would answer the question of where do we put preschoolers if we have a full-day mandate from the state to offer full-day preschool for our town. And it also includes secondary access to the building, additional parking, and that is the portion that has created the most constraint and issue for us. So if you go to the next slide, this is a breakdown of DBO and what we would like to do. So this is the existing school. This is the proposed early childhood learning center and the athletic field. When you see this area in red and this area in red and this line and all these little wetlands, this is all a variation of NJDEP regulated land. We were told that we are in somewhat of a floodplain. We were told there's a Category 3 stream, a Category 1 stream. There's a bat living there. There's a frog that only lives there once a year. And all of those things make our land unusable. We cannot fit what we need to in the footprint of our land while adhering to these constraints. We have looked for options outside of this. We had a team of very highly trained specialized engineers take a look at this. We have availed ourselves to any possible waivers. We have talked to local government officials. We have lobbied and requested, and we have gotten absolutely nowhere, unfortunately. We, at this point, do not know what the path forward is going to look like, but that is the main issue that then domino affects the rest of everything that we've just discussed.
Where are we at now? Well, as Megan just explained, if you cannot build an early childhood learning center at DBO for the reasons that she just articulated, then the whole project collapses really and truly. We can't move the kindergarten out of the buildings, right? So we don't solve the issue. And I will publicly blame the DEP. I hate to say it. I know I'm on YouTube and everything. Go ahead. Did you want to say something?
Well, no, I was saying that we also we asked so we were talking about land and what's available. Like we explored parcels of land that we own, unbuildable. Every which way that we turned, we were told no. We talked about if we split the early childhood learning center into 2 locations and made it smaller but had 2 of them, would that work? Again, we literally, and we're using DBO as the main example, but we also had constraints at CMS. We had there's wetlands and vernal ponds and, again, all manner of wildlife across all the buildings in some capacity, and it's really disheartening because we own the property, we want to make the most of it, and we are not able to.
Yeah. Right. So this will be on the website too. People can certainly help themselves look at it. Where are we at now? Well, we have to go back to square one. We really do. We have to start all over again. And it's difficult for the board. It's frustrating for the board. It's very time consuming. But we want to provide the best education for our students for generations to come. That is what we're trying to do. And unfortunately, right now, the position that we're in, we cannot do what we want to do because we cannot build on the property that we own. And we will look at other options, but there are not a lot out there right now as far as I can see and we can see, but we will consider all options.